Let's get started. Welcome in, GPS to God. We are glad you are here. It has been a while for us. It's been a couple months since we recorded. A lot has happened, and I don't know that we'll get into all that, but we're going to get into some good stuff. Daniel Sanders, Stefano Patterson. We have, for the very first time, Miss Abbie McKinnie.
Woo-hoo.
We have her great husband, Kaleb McKinnie.
Yes.
And Ryan Gotro.
Me.
So don't be afraid to speak up there, Kaleb. You might have something good to say. We don't want to miss it. You got
talk. I'll keep that in mind.
We're glad you're back with us. You can find us on Instagram. Find us on the website, gpstogod.com. Drop a like, all that kind of stuff, whatever you're supposed to do. Subscribe, all that kind of stuff. But
absolutely.
Let's do it. How's everybody been?
Good.
Yeah.
How's your birthday?
It was great. Another year old. I mean, I'm at the age now where it's like, you might get a text or somebody sees you, they're like, happy birthday. That's about it.
Your birthday was literally yesterday, right?
Happy birthday. Should we sing?
If you want to sing,
take it away, Abbie.
Take it away.
Everyone else muted. Everyone gets muted, just Abbie.
We might have a new segment here.
Do you get like for like a Halloween birthday? Do you get like extra? Do you get like a cake, or is it just the candy? Is that
how was growing
how does
up
that work?
having a Halloween birthday?
Yeah,
growing up, it was like I never had a birthday party on Halloween.
Okay,
so it would be like the weekend before or something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But there might have been years like I got a little something for my mom on the day, and then we go trick or treating or whatever.
Okay.
But it was I never had a birthday party on Halloween.
Okay. I wondered how that.
Nobody would come to that.
Did you ever like when you went trick or treating try to guilt like the people that you were getting candy? If they
you know today's my birthday, so I get like
can I get
I definitely would have.
That's good. That's good
I don't
right there.
remember doing it. I probably should have tried that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it came up sometime, but I don't remember doing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I would go like in an apartment complex and go multiple times through the complex.
Oh, that's smart.
And go to the houses, like the apartments that were giving out good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you go there more. There was one time I went to an apartment 3 times. First time I got some candy. Well, the guy like played a trick. He gave me some candy, and it was like something good. So I was like, well, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Went back again a little while later, and he's like, man, I'm out of candy. And I was all disappointed. And he said, but I got this. He gave me a Nerf football.
Oh
wow.
my goodness.
And then I went back again,
Nice.
and he was handing out quarters. So he got like $1 quarters.
Yeah.
at some point you got to turn the light out and just lock the door. I mean,
dude.
That was good stuff.
That's nice.
Apartment complex, that's a gold mine if it's a good one.
So, fun fact, I've never had a trick-or-treater at my house in my life. So where I grew up was not a neighborhood, it was the country. So no trick-or-treaters like came walking down our road. And then in college, you know, no college kids trick-or-treated in an apartment complex, unfortunately. And so then the first year we moved to our house.
She was.
The first year we moved to our house in Goodlettsville, I was pumped. I was so excited. I bought tons of candy. I had Kaleb turn on every light. I was like, we got to make it cozy in here when the trick-or-treaters come. And he was like, Abbie, I just want to let you know, like, I haven't seen a ton of kids in our neighborhood.
We live in an older neighborhood.
So maybe just, prepare for that. I was not prepared. Not a single trick-or-treater.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was
I
rough.
was devastated. And Kaleb would go outside and be like, hey, little buddy, thanks for coming. And I'd start running.
someone's going to jail tonight.
Nobody would be there. So last night, after we walked at the park, I had Kaleb drive me through 12 Stones so I could experience what it looked like.
I will say that was the first because I think last year's Halloween was rainy.
Yeah.
And so like we were at the park last year and we were going to drive through 12 Stones and like there was nobody there because it was terrible weather. Well, yesterday was like perfect, although it was freezing. But yeah, it was tons of kids. It was pretty cool because it was.
So I have a solution for this. Fano, next Halloween, you like VRBO or do something like that for them. Let them stay there the night. You take the kids out and do trick or treating, and they stay home at your house and they do all the experiences.
Because our lights
get all
are
the
off.
feel-goods of it.
Because we go to my father-in-law's house who lives right up the road, and that's where Dana. We all go there. So our house will be open.
Okay.
You can be in the middle of it.
Go ahead and pencil us in.
I'll invoice you.
Got you covered. Got you covered.
What kind of candy did you buy? Was it
the good
like
stuff.
good stuff or like
The good
the cheap stuff?
No, I buy the good stuff, and then I've continued to buy the good stuff since then, in case we ever have a trick or treat.
I really appreciate it
because I know that he's going to end up eating it. So I'm like Reese's, Kit Kats, whatever he feels like.
Nice.
The first year we were married, Christy bought like the cheap candy, and I said, "Oh no!" I was like, "You cannot do that.
You can't be that house. You can't be that house. They'll stick with you."
I said, "Anything that's left over is what I'm going to eat. And I don't want to eat that. I want the good stuff."
Plus, you'd be the bad house. They'd be like, "Don't go there." Let's skip that.
No Nerf football.
Let's skip that house.
No Nerf. We're not giving out Nerf football. That might be cheaper than candy nowadays, though. I don't know.
So speaking of candy, just random question. I saw it the other day. Do y'all like candy corn? Just curious.
I
never have
candy corn.
I do not like candy.
I have not.
I know 2 people that like candy.
I ate it as a kid.
If it's there, I'll eat it.
Yeah, but you're not like.
But I'm not like
for candy.
Hey, Dawn, when you go out, pick up some candy corn. Like I'm really excited about that.
Okay.
No.
I won't even. I don't think I've. Trying to think if I've had candy. Yeah, I probably.
When I was a kid, I ate it when it's the last thing.
Halloween
if
you just have to.
But I will say this: I do like this. If you take peanuts, just regular roasted, salted peanuts, and mix it with candy corn, like 50-50 mix, it tastes like a Payday candy bar.
I feel like you've said that before.
Wow.
I don't know if it was on
Paydays.
here.
I do like Paydays, so I will eat candy corn like that.
I saw on social media that if you like, I don't know the exact ingredients, but you take candy corn and put it with some other stuff, and you can make like a fudge with it.
Ooh.
And it's supposed to taste like just like peanut butter fudge or something like that. And I was like,
okay. Abbie, you writing this down?
Go back and listen to it a couple times.
Right.
We are not here to talk about Halloween and free candy, but we are going to talk a little bit about Veterans Day. Veterans Day is coming up soon. I don't know when this episode will come out. It may be before Veterans Day. But, we're going to talk about Veterans Day and do some stuff like that. But, Halloween for us, Halloween was yesterday, so it's fresh on the mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
What kind of candy do you have left over?
Oh, we have
Reese's.
We have Reese's Cups and Kit Kats. My two favorites. I actually had a Reese's on the way out the door on the way here. So
I had zero candy. We don't do trick or treating at our house. We go over to Seth and Rebecca's house to my sister-in-law and her husband. So we always go over there because we have no. Like we're in an older neighborhood too, or a neighborhood we don't want to trick or treat at. Yeah, so we go to their house.
I've heard those older neighborhoods, though, they might have a young person that might want to give out candy. So maybe you should consider.
Keep that in mind next year.
If you want to come to our neighborhood, I'll give you the address.
A road trip.
Yeah.
All right. Veterans Day. We got a quiz. We're gonna test the facts here.
Oh boy.
Do y'all know what day Veterans Day is on? What?
I do.
Does anybody not know the day? Caleb's looking a little iffy.
I'm looking at Fano's face over there.
I'm iffy.
Oh,
I think
I wish we had a
iffy.
piece of paper we could write it down and
I'm
hold up.
iffy.
Like a game show.
I mean, we can do that.
Yeah.
I think I know it.
And I was going to look it up and knowing that this episode was coming, and I just did not. So do not. No. I know it soon.
All right, Caleb, you're up first. What is your get? You said you feel pretty good. What's your get? What day is Veterans Day?
November 10th.
November 10th. Stefano, what is your guess?
I'm going to say November the 12th.
Well, if we were playing Battleship, we would be safe. You guys hit all around it. November 11th. November 11th is Veterans Day. Does anybody know the original name?
You took one of mine. I know it.
Go ahead, Ryan. You do it. Take that.
So it's actually called. I'm going to probably mispronounce Armistice. Is that right?
Armistice.
Armistice. Is that right?
Well, that's what it used to be called.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was
that's
only
what it began as.
It was right after World War I, right? And it was only for like 1 year.
No,
or was it not?
The World War I part is correct.
Right. As far as I thought it was like doing that before they changed it.
No, it was that way. Well, that's one of the questions we're going to get to. But it was known as Armistice Day for a while.
Okay.
Did not know that one.
And he already said it was to commemorate the end of World War I and the armistice, the ceasefire, the treaty was signed November 11th. The 11th month, 11th day, the 11th hour is when it went into effect. 1918.
Wow.
So your history lesson. I know everybody's super excited about this part. Where was the treaty signed? This is a tough one. Anybody know? Just a country.
It was the end of World War
One. Yeah.
Italy.
It's in Europe. It's not in America.
I didn't know that part.
It's not somewhere. That was a European country, so that was close.
Germany.
Do you know?
I was going to say Germany.
Oh, never mind. I don't know
Germany
that answer,
would be
though.
a good guess. Any other guesses? You all care? France. Versailles, France.
Oh, that makes sense.
The Treaty of Versailles.
Oh,
I knew this.
Okay.
I was going to say, do y'all know when when it changed to Veterans Day?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
So let's,
So the name
take some
changed,
guess.
or
So
did something else?
it was known as Armistice Day.
That was in
1918. Armistice Day, I think 1919 is when that started. Presidential Proclamation by Woodrow Wilson, November 11th, 1919. And Armistice Day to recognize everything that had gone on in World War I. When did it become known as Veterans Day? And why do you think it got a name change?
I can't answer that either.
Take a guess. What year do you think it became Veterans Day?
You said a long time, and you said
1962.
I was going to guess 1950.
50, 62?
I'm going to say 1970.
Why would it change?
1970. All right, Ryan, drop some knowledge on them.
It was June 1st, 1954.
Look at me. I didn't even look that up.
All over.
All over.
So why do you think it changed names? What happened between 1918 and 1954?
Well, I know it was World War II.
Yep.
Korean War.
Yep.
Like the wars were.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So it became...
The wars were over. Is that...
the veterans of World War II and Korea were like, hey, we should commemorate
our own
all
day,
the
too.
veterans, not just veterans of World War I.
Gotcha.
Because Armistice Day was to end World War I.
Got it.
Okay.
So we should recognize all the veterans. Look at what we've gone. So 32 years from the end of World War I until the beginning of the Korean War. 32 years. You had 2 world wars and the Korean War.
And then right after that was Vietnam.
Yeah.
That's
It's a lot of fighting right there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fighting.
So
do you know what? Hold on. Do you know what president at that time it was?
I do. I got it.
Because you got the cheat sheet.
Yeah. Yeah.
1954.
Oh, yeah. I'm not good with presidents.
You said Woodrow Wilson was the first. That was in 19.
He's the one that did it.
1918.
Yeah. You want to? You want the initials?
Yes, give me initials.
Are you going all 3 or just first last?
I'll take all the help I can get.
Well, let's back up. So at first, 1919, that was just let's observe it this year.
Mm.
And then so every year it was like a presidential proclamation. And it became a law in 1938. That's when it became a federal holiday, right? 1938. And then when the name was changed, what do we say? We're going to give you the initials?
Yes.
President. I forgot to put the middle initial. So do you want me to?
Just give the first in line.
So DE.
Dwight Eisenhower.
Correct.
Mm.
All right. What other notes? All right. So we said it's on November 11th.
Mm-hmm.
But did you know it's not always been on November 11th?
I know the month, and this I just know this. I know the month that it was, but I don't know the exact day.
All right. What you got?
Had to have been some kind of event.
I thought it was in October.
Causing it to, they would change it after that long? After it being, so it was November the 11th in 1918?
Mm-hmm. Well, 1918 is when the treaty was signed. 1919 was the first observation.
And at some point, it was not November the 11th.
Correct.
Before or after the 1954 thing, name change?
We got a lot of numbers around. A lot of numbers.
This turned into a history.
This is heavy in here, man.
It is. Dropping knowledge. Kids, do a book report. We've done all the notes.
There we go.
And,
Cliff notes what? No.
Yeah. So they did change it in the law passed in 1968 to move it to the fourth Monday of October.
Oh, okay.
Right about
Fourth Monday of October. So they would be in accordance with the Uniform Monday Holiday Act. I guess that was a thing back then. So they moved it, and then they moved it back in 1978. They're like, this ain't
That's
working.
a lot of adjusting.
That is a lot of adjusting.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's like daylight savings time that we have now. You know, they did away with that for a while in the 70s.
Are we doing away with it again? Or did
Tennessee's not.
Okay.
No. When the federal government does away with it, it automatically goes into effect for Tennessee or something like that.
Okay.
Like we've passed the law, but we don't change until the whole country changes.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they did away with it for a couple years, and then they brought it back. I think that was the late 70s, maybe. I don't know. Stefano was around. I wasn't.
You barely wasn't around.
We were just, us three were just a thought.
Yeah, we were.
Not even that.
All right. So that's a Veterans Day history lesson. Veterans Day and the Marine Corps birthday are only one day apart. Marine Corps was established November 10th. So they get like a big multi-day Liberty Pass period. The Marines do.
Now you were in the Army, right?
I was in the Army. Correct.
Do you know how old the Army is?
The Army is older than America.
I ran across it today. That's one reason why
the
I'm
Army
asking.
is older than the country.
Yeah,
itself by a couple years.
That's wild.
I saw that it was 248 years old.
All right, last note I have for Veterans Day history lesson. Do you know the correct way to spell it? So some places have some calendars and different stuff has apostrophe S or then S apostrophe. Some have nothing. Like, what do you think is the correct way?
Just thinking about it, I would say that the correct way should be nothing. Okay. Maybe. Well, let me think about that more.
I feel like the most common way is apostrophe S. That's what you see on everything. But if veteran isn't plural, you would need to have the S before the apostrophe. You know?
I thought the apostrophe S was to say that it was like possession of day, which would make sense why you'd need an apostrophe, but I don't think it has an apostrophe. I think it's just
nothing.
S.
I'm going with nothing. I'm with Fano.
They didn't know what day it was on, but they nailed the spelling. No apostrophe. So if it's the possessive apostrophe S.
Yeah. But isn't it your day as a veteran?
No veteran owns that day. It's not any.
Gotcha.
You know.
Taking me back to ninth grade English.
It's not about one person.
Man, the McKinnie's come on
but
here.
But doesn't Valentine's Day do apostrophe?
Knowledge.
Doesn't New Year's Day do apostrophe?
Whoa, man, this is just
no. Because never mind. That was a dumb question. Don't listen to me. Mute me.
No, keep that in.
Yeah, it's not a day that belongs to veterans. It's a day to honor all veterans. So no apostrophe.
Snapchat. Somebody needs to tell that to Snapchat because I feel like
what's
social
Snapchat?
media. Oh my
Korea,
God.
like,
no, I'm just kidding.
Calendars and stuff too. All like just depends. Yeah. But no apostrophe.
No apostrophe.
Y'all work that one out. That's all the fun facts I have for today's history lesson on Veterans Day.
Covered a lot, man.
I think we did.
Covered a lot.
I mean, that's a good 5th or 6th grade book report.
It really
absolutely
is.
That's
15
good.
minutes.
Yeah.
That's a solid B plus.
You're welcome.
Solid B plus.
When anyone uses this, they can cite GPS to God, 2023.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
I mean, if we were giving out A's over here, we'd be cheating somewhere. They'd be like, "That's too easy."
Yeah.
Make sure you drop a like for that.
Yes, please do.
Right.
Please use that for your school project. Bam, that's it. All right. Well, that was a fun episode. We'll see you next time. All right. Our first timers. What do you got? What is something that maybe you've heard on an episode or something that's like, I wanted to ask about this?
I'm just bummed Russell's not here, so I didn't get to experience story time with Russell, is it?
Yeah.
Story time with Russell in person. We are in his Sunday school class, so we get to hear quite a few stories, but I just really wanted to experience a story time with Russell.
Well, feel free to, come up with some stories of your own here. We'll start a new segment.
He's a great storyteller.
Caleb's campfire or something.
I like it.
Caleb's campfire. I'm not. I'll have to think on that.
Well, I mean, I brought some questions to the table, even if it's my first time.
Bring them on.
Since you are our residential veteran here at this table.
Yes.
I had a couple of questions of how you got into it and your story.
All right. Let's
Because I feel like a couple of episodes ago, you kind of told a story, something you did maybe. I should have looked back at it before coming on here. But it piqued my interest. I was like, nobody's ever interviewed Daniel on his experience in
I try not to talk about myself too much.
Well,
I tell these guys all the time I feel like I'm talking too much. So.
No. It's always a
all right, bring it. Let's do it. We'll do it.
So, this wasn't my first question, but what exactly were you in the Army? Like, what was your title, position?
So my job was parachute rigger. So that means I packed parachutes for people, packed parachutes for equipment, and jumped out of airplanes. That was my job.
So
and also, like, for the equipment, we rigged that equipment up.
So your troop had a lot of faith in you. If they trusted you to pack their parachute.
They better have.
Yeah. So, like, parachute riggers is a very small career field. Like, there's not a lot of, but you do work for, like, when you're broken into different sections, so not everybody is in pack. Some people are like rigging equipment and different stuff. But I mean, a group of 30 packers packs for thousands of people. Like I mean, you're just, because each packer is going to do, like, depends on the type of parachute, 15 to 25 a day, every day.
How long, like, if one is fully open, how long does it take you at that time? So when you're not, I mean, if you haven't had the experience for a while, but if it's like at that time, how long does it take you to go from completely open to packed?
It depends on the type of parachute.
Okay.
And it depends on the packer.
That's what I was going to
That's a great way to not answer the question.
No, I'm just kidding. I answered that. I was like, are you trying to...
I'll give you
like,
some
is there
ranges.
like, was there like a standard parachute?
That's what I was going to ask. Are you trying to get down to a particular, like, size?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I guess,
it has
are you trying to make it as small as possible, or is it different containers that it...
Yeah, different containers for different parachutes, but it has to fit in that container.
Okay. Why, like, sorry.
No.
Were you done with your question?
Yeah. Well, I didn't really answer his yet.
Okay. No, not at all.
Yeah. No. Answer his.
Do you need to write it down?
No, I'm good. I'm old, but I think I got it. I got it. I'm good.
I mean, is there like a stand? Like, I know you have all different shapes and sizes and everything, but
all right. So let's start in school. When you're going to school to learn how to pack parachutes, your the first thing you learn is how to pack personnel parachutes. So that's parachutes that people use.
Wow.
And your first test is to pack that parachute within an hour. Now, this is when I went a million years ago. It may have changed since then, but 1 hour. You have 1 hour to pack that parachute. Really,
and this is with no experience. Like, they just said, "Here's a parachute, go at it."
At the when I went through the schoolhouse, it was 2 weeks. Like, from day one that you started your training, 2 weeks later, you were packing your first parachute. That was your first test. Pack a parachute, and then you jump that parachute.
Yeah.
Wow.
You would jump the one that you
pack. Yeah, you jump it.
Oh my gosh, I'm starting to get
trust myself. Do not trust myself. I'm dying.
Like, anytime you pack a parachute, there's it's called a log record book. So you write the date and your name and all this stuff in it, and that stays with that parachute. So if anything was to go wrong, they can go back and look and see who did that. But you always sign that. But on that test, you pack that first parachute, and then they have a big tag that they write with your name on it. So, because it's on shelf, you don't want to open all those record books and see who. It takes too long. But yeah, that's your first test. You have at the time two, but now the Army uses a different parachute system than what I learned on.
So at that time, so what you're saying is at that time you took a 2-week course, and that
was just the first phase.
Okay, but then after that 2 weeks, they gave you an hour to put it together.
Yeah, your test is an hour because
to me an hour just seems like it's forever.
Oh no!
But you're probably nervous. Did I do it right? No. Second guessing yourself.
So you go, like, for all parachute packing, you do you go to a certain point, and then you call it a rigger check, and an inspector will come and inspect your work up to that point. Tell you to fix something,
checkpoint,
or tell you you're good. And then you keep going to the next point. So every parachute has rigger checks along the way.
Because I was thinking, what a grading scale. You either make an A or you don't make it.
It is pass-fail.
Yeah. Wow.
We're going to find out when you jump.
I know. I'm like, oh, gosh.
But so at that time, like in school, I was packing once I learned how to do it, I was one of the faster ones, but I was packing like 18 minutes, something like that. So it was no problem to hit an hour, right?
Yeah.
Goodness.
But on the test day, like you slow down. Well,
absolutely.
The fast packers would slow down and do everything extra good. But so on that type of parachute, in those days, you're packing a parachute, an experienced packer who is good, you're packing in like 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Ish.
Crazy.
Ish.
Interesting.
There were some, it depends on the type of parachute. But
so
today,
go ahead.
Like the parachute system the Army uses today, back then you would pack each packer 25 a day. That was your quota. So when you pack 25, you'd be done. Mm-hmm. Now the parachute they have now is different, a little more complicated, or a little more technical. And 15, they pack 15 a day.
Gotcha.
Like the different types of parachutes. Are we talking about like there's just like tennis shoes? Or like that many types of parachutes, or are there?
I would assume it gets like for cargo, it's a larger one, so it would take more time. Just because
talking
it's more
about
material.
just a larger one for cargo, and then just a regular one for people, or
a ton of cargo parachutes, but there's multiple parachutes for people. So you have again, some of this is outdated a little bit. Now, what the Army uses is called a T11 parachute. And it's kind of a square-ish parachute, but you go where the wind blows. Like you can't really steer it.
Okay.
Back in the day, before the T11, you had a T10, which was a round canopy. The Army's been using it since World War II. Like subtle variations, but same parachute since World War II. You go where the wind blows. You had a sister parachute to the T11 that was steerable to a point. So T11 or T10, you go where the wind blows. The MC6, which was the steerable, you can steer, but you're steering kind of to an area, right? So you're trying to land in an area like, I don't know, the size of a gym, maybe like a basketball gym.
Wow.
But then you have free fall parachutes, and those are the kind that you see in movies that skydivers use. So they're kind of like rectangle shape and have a little curve to them. So if you see people that jump into like a sporting event, like a football game or something, they're using those kind of parachutes, free fall parachutes. Those you land on a spot. So the round canopies,
way more control.
Yeah, the round canopies you land in like a basketball gym.
Gotcha.
The free fall canopies you land like on a quarter.
I got you.
Yeah.
Wow.
I never knew that was even.
Yeah.
So there
are some that you just once you pull it or whatever, you're just going wherever. You don't have any kind of control whatsoever.
The vast majority of people in the military, you go where the wind blows. You have no control, very little control.
How come?
Because, so let's talk about World War II. Thousands of people jumping out of an airplane. You don't want them, you want them to get out safely and get on the ground as fast as possible. Because when they're in the air, they're not doing anything and they're exposed. Well, you got 1,000 people in the air. You don't want them going any which way. Like, I choose to go this way and you go that way. Like, so if all their parachutes are going with the wind, they're all moving the same direction.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Interesting.
So, like once it's like packed, there's not like an expiration on it. Like if you have a parachute that was like packed in, 10 years ago, you probably don't want to use that.
Yeah. No, for personnel shoots, it depends on the type of parachute. But it's like a main parachute has a certain life pack cycle, and then a reserve parachute has a certain pack cycle. I don't want to say something wrong on here or say something that's
no, you're good.
I can tell you what it used to be, but
my uneducated guess would be is that like, what if something got into it and ate a hole in it?
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
that can happen.
Because if you were packing that up, right, you would be like, I trust myself. I know what I did 10 years ago. I definitely know I packed it right, but you don't know what got into it. That would be my opinion.
No, so you're like for a personnel shoot, this may not be up to date. This is from, back in the day, 180 days.
180 days.
Yeah. But then reserve parachutes for like a year. They could go up to a year.
Gotcha.
Right. I don't know if that's current now.
Gotcha.
Don't put that in your book report, kids.
Yeah, don't cite us there.
Yeah. But yeah, so 180 days. But like you keep track of all that because depending on where you work, you could have thousands of parachutes in your inventory. So, you the packed cycles of each one. So if you have something that's about to go out of date, you're going to issue those out before something you just packed last week. But and then cargo parachute, like there's a million of them. I mean, some that are like this, the size of this Bible, which is like 6 inches by 4 inches, and then there are some that are a couple 100 feet long when they're stretched out.
Craziness.
Yeah.
So, what drew you to the Army? Were you approached by a recruiter? You family that did it, or
my entire family was in the military at one point or another, but. Like I wasn't raised as a military kid or anything like that. Yeah. I just had a normal upbringing. I wasn't bouncing around from Army posts or anything, but like I knew all my family had been in. But yeah, a recruiter just called me one day and was like, "Hey, can I talk to you? About this, and I can show you what we have." And I was like, "I don't care." I was a junior in high school, pretty easy going. I was like, "Yeah, man, I'd talk to anybody." Mm-hmm. But then he's like, "Hey, here's what we have." And I joined the reserves first. So it was like, it's a part-time job. You work 1 week in a month. Here's how much money you'll make and all this stuff. I was like, yeah.
Are you still in the reserves?
No, I'm out. I'm retired. I'm out of everything.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
You just recently did that, though.
I've been retired a couple of years now.
Okay. A couple of years.
So it was just a part-time job really for me. I didn't really, I guess I knew it, but it didn't register that you got to go to basic training and then go to your job training, all that kind of stuff at the time. But that was like, so I went to basic training the summer between my junior and senior year of high school.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So it was just like a summer job. Now it was an intense summer job.
So that was my follow-up
boot camp.
So I did basic training, then came home, did my senior year of high school, and the next summer left for my job training.
Did you come back just absolutely ripped?
I wasn't ripped.
What into a senior year?
At that time, it was like 8 weeks long. It's longer now. But, I came back in shape. A lot of people lose weight. If they're kind of chunky or something, they lose weight. I gained weight because I was a scrawny kid. So I gained some muscle mass.
Yeah.
But, I was still a skinny kid. I wasn't like ripped.
Gotcha.
An Avenger or what?
Just one of
the Pratt brothers or something.
Where was basic when
Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Okay.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Gotcha. So is it like all the movies?
That was my exact question. I wrote down is basic like the movies.
Is it like just
parts of it
like bad or like
yelling in your face, spitting almost?
They'll yell. Yeah. It's what you make it. Everything's what you make it. But it's tough. It's supposed to be tough, but it's doable by anybody. You have to have the right attitude. Like you can't go in there and fight the system. That ain't gonna work.
Right.
You can't do that. You can, but it ain't going to work. But it's there's tough part, and it all depends. So I was a scrawny kid, so at the very beginning, the more physical stuff was tough for me than somebody else who was, played football their whole life and been in the weight room for 6 years. Like I had never done that. So that can be part of it. The mental part was easy for me, but that's tougher on some people. So yeah.
Did they give you nicknames?
Oh yeah, people get nicknames.
You gotta remember.
I was quite I didn't want them to know my name. I was like, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and they don't know my name, you want to be
in the shadows.
Like I'm good.
Yeah.
But so I wasn't trying to cause trouble. I was trying to do something right the first time and be done and be gone. So,
I hear you.
Were you I assume you were one of the younger ones? I guess.
I was 17. But we had a lot of 17-year for that time. I don't know if they still do that program or not, but like at that time, that was pretty common. There was a lot of high school kids in there. Even today, I guess, if you graduate high school and go, there's going to be a lot of young people. But we we had a lot of people.
But 17 was like the youngest that you could be there. Yeah, you couldn't be 16 and go in. Yeah.
My mom still had to sign for me though, because I wasn't.
Yeah.
So what was the toughest mental or like physical challenge you had to go through at basic?
You're learning. You have to learn how to be a soldier and what they want you, like how they want that done. It's tough because you're not sleeping a lot. You're not getting enough food and all that kind of, like, they really break you down, but then they build you up. So I don't know. For me, my eyes were open pretty quick because you're always getting what they call smoked. That's where you're doing exercises for an hour or something like that. And what you don't know in the moment is all of that's scripted. So you think they're just mad at you and you're doing push-ups for an hour and it's always on asphalt or concrete. So your hands are chewed up. It's hot or it's cold, depending on time of year. I went in the summer, so it was hot and you're on asphalt or concrete. So your hands are chewed up, all this. And you're like, man, they just hate us. No, they got a schedule. Yeah. They just have that built into the schedule because they know, well, it's 10 o'clock. We're going to do this till 11. And at 11:15, we got to be in this class.
Yeah. That's your PE time.
Yeah, and then that class is over and you go to lunch for 20 minutes and then you're getting smoked again but that's all in the schedule. Yeah. Because your next class isn't until 3 o'clock. Right. So, but you don't know.
You just don't know the schedule.
But I tell people now, sometimes someone asks me, they're thinking about joining or they are, have a kid or something that's joining. And I tell them it's a game.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to look at it. It's a game. Just go play the game. Yeah. And the way I did it at that time was I broke it down into segments. It's like when I wake up, I just got to make it to breakfast. When breakfast time comes, I get a short little break. And then after that is whatever happens, I just go make it to because I knew they have to feed us and they have to let us sleep. So I just broke the day down into if it was a hard day, like
that's smart.
Got to make it to lunch.
That is very smart.
All right, I get a little break, and then but I broke it down like that. But yeah, it's doable. Anybody can do it. It's not unobtainable for anybody.
Yeah.
But you got to have the right mindset.
Yeah. And I can't imagine there's that many 17-year-old boys, who go into it with the right mindset.
Yeah. So you're still a kid. You don't know. Yeah. Sure. But so I went, it was males and females together. And I was sitting there, we were getting smoked one day early on. And I was like, man, this is no fun. And so I'm sitting there and next to me is a girl. Next to her is a guy, and we're there doing push-ups. I don't know how long we've been there, but it'd been a little while. I'm struggling, right? And I'm just trying to make it through. And I look over, and this girl is just knocking push-ups out. She is not slowing down. The guy next to her is crying, like bawling for mama, crying like snot, tears, all this stuff. And she's doing these push-ups, and she just stops, looks at him like, you need to suck it up, you baby. And then just keeps going back to push-ups. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not as good as her, but I'm not as bad as him.
I'll take the middle here.
Yeah. Middle road.
Wow.
Did you know anybody?
No.
Like
I knew I was by myself. That was the first time I left home. First time I'd flown on a plane.
That's big time.
That's what
I would be so nervous.
If you had somebody that you knew. Wow.
No, I was by myself.
I bet that has to feel so good though, like at the end of basic.
At the
end, yeah.
I thought that's such a huge accomplishment.
I may have had an attitude, like a big head ego anyway, like my senior year of high school.
Not you.
But after, but that's where I learned it, to be honest. Like I was real quiet and stuff before that. But after that, I was like,
you can't tell me nothing.
None of y'all in this school can do what I just did.
Absolutely. Which is true.
Y'all can't tell me nothing. So that was the start of the ego, and it got worse from there.
Did you?
It's better now. It's better.
Did you ever? I mean, I'm sure you did. Did you ever have points of doubt,
wanting to quit?
Yes.
Oh yeah. At the beginning, I was real like independent leading up to that, like because I did fine in school. I didn't get in trouble or nothing. Like out in the community, I wasn't getting in trouble. So my mom pretty much let me do what I wanted to do. So I was real independent and stuff, and I don't need anybody. When I got, like, I hadn't been there long, all I wanted was my mom. And back in this was 1998. That's when I went to basic training.
I was 2. Just
Thank you.
Throw that out there real quick.
No cell phones or not, like, it was still payphone day, like payphones on every street corner. Fano remembers, y'all.
Oh yeah,
remember.
I was 22.
But, like, payphones were that's how you communicated, right?
Oh yeah, quarters.
And so we had to buy a phone card and then stand in. So my company in basic training had like 300 people or something. I don't know, maybe 350. So like they got 6 payphones, and you're standing in line with 300 people, and you got like 3 minutes each to talk on the phone. And the first phone call, we'd been there like 2 or 3 days, and they said, call your parent, call home, tell them you're here, you're fine, you won't call again for at least 2 weeks, and hang up.
Like you had to say that.
Well, I mean, something like that, because those drill sergeants are standing right there.
That's what I was going to ask. I'm sure they were right
talking,
there.
Trying to, talk to your girlfriend or something. All right, hang it up. Let's go. If you don't hang it up, they'll hang it up for you. But now now everybody has cell phones. I don't know what they do now, but I mean, payphones. That's what and later on you got more phone time. You know, if you weren't in trouble or something. But the first phone call, that's what they said, and then like. Imagine calling home from a payphone, and they're not at home.
Oh, and you've looked forward to it.
And all you want to do
it's
is
all
hear.
You made the day
Cell phones don't even exist.
Did that happen?
Like what we have now.
Yeah. Because I'm sure your parents didn't know when you were going to get the call.
Right.
And you're like, I just want to hear a familiar voice tell me it's going to be all right. And nobody's home. And then you're dialing every number. And if you didn't have a number, like if you didn't have it memorized or have it on a sheet of paper.
That's what I'm thinking right now. Like, I wouldn't be able to memorize anybody's numbers.
I mean, back in those days, you had more numbers memorized.
Get them tattooed on each
But it's still like, it's just how, now I had a sheet of paper with some other, like friends' numbers and stuff. And if it was like a Saturday or Sunday where we had some time off to use the phone, well, that's when everybody at home is out doing stuff. So you're trying to call, and I mean, you get down to like number 10 on your list, and you're like, I'm out of numbers. And now my time's up. I spent 30 minutes, not 30 minutes, but, spent time dialing all these numbers, because every time you hang up, you got to dial the phone card number again, and then the PIN number, and then all this stuff.
Can't imagine.
I know exactly what you don't want.
A minute ago, you said something about a company, right? So that's just like, you're talking about like, how many people, like a group of people, basically? Is that just like the general term?
The company is who you're with the entire time. So an analogy would kind of be like, let's say McDonald's.
Okay.
So if we all work at the same McDonald's store, that's our company. Every employee at that location, that's your company.
Gotcha. What's a battalion?
So our company is the one location we work at. Every store in Nashville, every McDonald's in Nashville would be the battalion. And then every McDonald's in Tennessee would be a brigade. Okay. And then it just goes, it keeps going up.
Because I was reading that a battalion was like normally like an average of like 1,000 people.
Yeah, because you're going to have multiple companies.
Right.
Depends on the type of battalion and stuff. But, I mean, you're going to have, I don't know, 4 to 10 companies or something like that.
Okay.
Depending on what it is.
Yeah.
So you graduate basic, you go home, see your family, do your senior year. What time after you graduate your senior year, what does it look like after that?
So I left, I think I had maybe a month or so from the time I graduated till the time I left again to go to AIT, which is Advanced Individual Training. That's just your job training. That's what the Army calls it.
Still in Missouri?
No, I went back I went to Fort Lee, Virginia, and did a little. I was there for a little bit, doing like some. At that time, you would go there for a couple of weeks, do some physical training, and then go to airborne school. So, for a parachute rigger, you have to be airborne qualified. You have to jump out of airplanes, and that's the first step. If you don't pass that, you can't be a rigger. So.
What is passing that?
I mean, it's a pass-fail. So it's a
not jumping or jumping. Is that what you're?
So airborne school is a 3-week school.
Okay.
All the military's branches all go to Fort Benning, Georgia, which is an Army post. It's run by the Army. It's an Army base. That school is run by the Army, but all the services go to that. And that's common, like parachute rigger school. All like Marines and stuff go through parachute rigger school. It's an Army course on an Army base, but it's such a small field that not every service is going to run a school because it's just not economically feasible for them to do that. But everybody goes there, 3-week school, and it's broken up into different parts. They call it, first week is ground week, second week's tower week, third week is jump week. So you're learning how to jump out of a plane for the military and different steps in that. The very first thing, again, I went there a million years ago, right? So I'm talking from when I went through, and stuff has changed. But the very first thing you did, the very first morning, was take a PT test. And you had to pass at least 60%. It's graded on a 0 to 100 scale. You had to have at least 60 points in each event or you fail. And it's just pass, fail. You do it or you don't. And if you don't, when the PT test is over, they march everybody back. If you passed, you go eat breakfast. If you didn't pass, you come in this line. You get out processed. By the time I got through breakfast and got back to my room to change clothes, one of my roommates failed. He was gone. Like his bags moved out and everything.
Wow. Crazy.
Then you go into training, like 2 weeks, you're throwing your body on the ground the whole time for 2 weeks, learning how to fall, learning how to jump out of the plane, learning all the safety procedures, all that stuff. But I mean, a huge chunk of it is learning how to land because it's all those parachutes we talked about that the wind blows or you can steer, you're going to land and roll on the ground. You don't land on your feet. The only exception is the free fall parachute. That's airborne is a small community. Free fall is an even smaller community. That's really, for the most part, just special forces and people that support special forces are the only ones that do free fall. But so those first 2 weeks, you're just learning how to fall. You're throwing your body on the ground. I mean, you're laying there. I mean, I was 18 years old, in great shape, and I mean, everybody, matter your age.
Are you and Christy together at this time already, or
we
no?
were dating.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, your body just hurts. You're sore.
Yeah.
But, and then, so that's the first 2 weeks. The last week is jump week, and you have to jump 5 times during that week. And there's different things you have to jump, daytime, nighttime, with equipment, all this different stuff.
Someone grading you like when you're falling? Like when you land,
the first 2 weeks you are, yes.
You're getting
the first
graded on how you
jump week. You're not really great. It's if you don't get hurt and you can make it to the next jump, you're good.
Yeah.
But when people get injured,
why is your arm dangling like that? I'm going to the next jump.
I'm going to the next jump.
No, I mean, there's broken bones in every class. There's stuff like that in every single class.
And your first jump, had you ever jumped out of a plane prior? Okay.
No, I hadn't even been on a plane before.
I'm like, you've been on a plane a couple of times, and now you're throwing yourself out.
I'm just flying now. You telling me to jump out of this thing now?
My third time ever on an airplane, I jumped out of.
Third time ever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why not?
I flew to basic training, but then I rode. My mom and family came to graduation, so I rode home with them, and then I flew from home to Virginia, and we took a bus from Fort Lee, Virginia, down to Fort Benning, and then the third time I was on a plane, I jumped out of it.
Wow. Were you nervous?
No, I was excited. I wanted to do it. Yeah. And that's how a lot of people get hurt. They're like, they do something that you weren't trained to do. You go against what they tell you to do and you get hurt. So, but yeah, people get hurt. But yeah, jump week, it's really, the grade is, can you get up and walk away to the next jump?
So there's a skydiving place in Chattanooga. Could you drive there tomorrow and say, hey, I want to go jump?
It's different. Like, they're still going to make you go. If you're not skydive qualified, they're going to make you go through their training.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't know if because you went through the military and you had that kind of that training and certification for that. I didn't know you could just walk in and be hey, here's proof. I'm going to go jump.
No, you can maybe have some accelerated training because it also depends. some people go to airborne school. They make those 5 jumps. You get a little badge on your uniform and stuff when you graduate that, and they never jump again. And then some people, you know, they stay in a jump status for 20 years or more. So, you know, it just depends. But if you're on jump status for a long time, you'll have more body control, and you know, fear and stuff is going to be different than somebody that's never done that before. But yeah, you still got to go through the process. They're not going to let you. It's like, I drive a 4x4 truck. Let me go to this 18-wheeler place and get a job. Yeah, you can get a job, but they're still going to make sure you have a CDL license and you have all this training and stuff.
Yep.
So.
And for the jump school, did you have a graduation for it where you jumped in?
So our 5th jump, you do it, and then, you know, once everybody jumps, they line you up there, and the instructors come pin your wings on. They do that, or sometimes like a family or a coworker will come pin your wings on.
I bet that's a great feeling.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, it's
who did yours?
One of the instructors.
One of the instructors.
Was anybody there watching you do
it? Not for that.
Okay.
No. I think my family came to my basic training graduation. That's probably it. That's probably the only thing they ever came to. The more I moved up and the more exclusive things I did, like I don't know. I sheltered my family a little bit because, I mean, military life is not easy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was sheltering, but too, I was like, it was never close to home. So why do you know, most of those things are pretty short. So I was like, well, I don't want my family to come 3 states away for a 20-minute ceremony and then go. I was like, yeah, it's not that important.
Well, it's not like
it was important to me, but I was like, I'm not dragging them all over the place.
Well, I'm sure right after the ceremony, y'all can't go out to dinner and do whatever, right?
No,
I mean, like you still got
for that one. Graduating jump school, we got on all the parachute riggers. Like we got on a bus and bussed right back to Virginia because now we had to go start our job training. That was just
that's what I was saying is like you couldn't, like, why have them there for that short period of time when you're not going to get to do and see them or whatever afterwards.
Yeah. Now some people graduate jump, like they live at Fort Benning, so they graduate jump school and then they go home.
Yeah.
Right? But like we were newbies that had to go off and like get trained and whatnot. So
I legit have butterflies right now.
Thinking about it?
Yeah, like
no, I would go jump right now. That was the fun part.
When was the last time you jumped?
I want to go
How
jump
long
next
has that
summer.
been?
2 years. Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Well, you got me beat. I've only gone once.
I think you got a lot of people beat.
Oh, wow.
I would go now. What else, Abby?
Okay, so after that, you went to the next Packer school.
Yes.
And where's Christy at in all this? Like, when did you guys get married?
We were only dating, so that was 2000. Is that right? No, 1999. I went to my job training and stuff. We didn't get married until 2003.
Wow. So she stuck with you through it all.
Yeah.
And then continued to, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we started dating her senior year of high school, which was my junior year. Yeah. So she was there from the beginning, pretty much.
Wow.
Did she have military in her family?
No.
Did she? Okay.
Well, her grandfather.
Okay.
Her grandfather was in the Navy during the Korean War.
Okay.
24 years. I was in the Army for 24 years, start to finish.
That's awesome.
Wow. What was the biggest thing the Lord revealed about yourself to you through that whole time, through the 24 years? What would you say He gave you to take away from it?
There was like a lot of times that was the closest relationship I had, a very close time with God, because I was by myself.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, you're in a stressful situation, or you are like by yourself. So it, like, you have nothing else to cling to. So that was easy. Even in basic training, like the road marches, a lot of road marches are hard for a lot of people. I enjoyed it, one, because you know nobody's going to be yelling at you as long as you keep up.
Yeah.
It's like you use that as
That's a way to look at it.
Break time.
Vacation.
I mean, it was
Vacation
like,
time.
I can walk. And I mean, you got a little backpack on or whatever. It's like, it's not that heavy, right? In basic training, it's not that bad. So I was like, this is good. This is a break. Let's keep on going. But I had a little Bible that I picked up in basic training, like a little Gideon Bible. It's the New Testament, and it has like Psalms or Proverbs in it too. So like on those road trip or road marches, like I would just pull that out and be walking, and I'd be reading through that because it had like a couple songs and stuff in it too. So I'd be reading that and just like, I mean, I'm not like you got to still pay attention to stuff, but I would do that. But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of times being deployed, you're on the other side of the world from your family, some great devotion times, or you go to church there, like the little chapel, wherever you were, and have some great times there. So, I mean, there was a lot of times being close, because then when you come home, you come back to normal life and you have all these distractions and all this stuff. And a lot of times, what do we leave aside first? I don't have to read my Bible today. I don't have to have a devotion today. I can pray tomorrow. I'll pray before I go to bed. Like, we write that off too quickly a lot of times. But that was one thing that it's never easy leaving your family. It gets easier. Like, you're always homesick a little bit, but the more you do it, the less that is. And but I enjoyed those times going away, because I was like, I know I'm going to have a good routine of reading my Bible, have a devotion, have some quiet time where like I have nothing else to go do. Right. So this is like, it kind of forced me into that a little bit, but I looked forward to it.
And do you think the Lord was like grooming you during that time to now be in the ministry position that you're in? Like he developed that dependency with you and them.
Doing that. And I mean, even in basic training, you're getting up at, 4 o'clock in the morning or something. There was a small group of guys, 4 or 5 of us. Like, we would get up 30 minutes early, which doesn't sound like much, but it's a lot. And we would have a quick little Bible study together. So that started real early. But as the longer I was in the Army, you move up and now you're supervising other people and all this stuff. But people have problems, the same problems you have in your life, they have in the military. And sometimes the military exacerbates those problems. Sometimes people have nowhere else to go. Like their life is not in a great place, and it's join the Army or nothing. So you're getting people sometimes that are, coming from the absolute worst possible home life or situation. And a lot of, I say a lot of, there's substance abuse, alcohol abuse. There's infidelity is pretty big because people are traveling all the time. You're depending on your job in the Army, like you may travel a ton. Well, some people, my family's at home, and I'm a family person when I'm there, and when I'm not, I'm doing what I want to do. So. And then struggles of, people who have normal life. And I don't want to say everybody in the military is like that, because they're not, but it's very prevalent at times. But then it's just normal, regular people, and they're away from their families, and something happens at home. Well, you feel helpless. You can't leave. A child is born. I mean, there were multiple times I almost missed. I say almost. I was late to Christy going into labor for both of our kids, and I was in the same state.
Wow.
But, I've been with people like their kids are born and we're in a different country. Or their parents die, or, Mark Settle was on here on the podcast. He was in Afghanistan when his sister broke her neck on a skiing accident in America. So like it's and Lindy told that story too. But so you're dealing with people who are going through the worst things of their lives sometimes, and you're counseling them, walking them through that. Are they Christian? Or are they not Christian? And what's the root of all the stuff you're going through right now? And so like I was doing ministry stuff, but I wasn't a paid minister.
Like, was that on your radar? Like after your time
in the moment, I knew, and I was a Christian my entire time in the military. That's what I leaned on. I would not have made it through that without God carrying me through that. And I mean, I knew that from day, because when I first joined, I was a scrawny kid who wasn't strong enough to do what needed to be done. But God carried me through that, right? I was the top of every single thing I did in the military. I did stuff that to me was elite, or hard, or but I was the best. I always graduated top of my class, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I knew the work I put in. Yeah. Like, it was not easy for me. I was putting work in to get it, and I was rewarded for that work. But I also would tell people, look, you're twice, you can run faster than me. You can, you're stronger than I am. You can do the same things I'm doing, but you just got to apply yourself. But I knew in the moment, like, God was showing me, he was there, he was carrying me. So I always was telling people, if they were Christians, here's what, cling to God. Yeah. If they weren't Christians, I was saying, here's how I'm successful. Here's what can make you successful, kind of thing. So, but yeah, I mean, he was my rock through all of that, because I couldn't have done any of it on my own. Yeah.
Two things on that. One, isn't it the best when the Lord gives you validation that you're in his will? Like, at the time, I'm sure on your hardest days, something crazy would happen. You're like, thank you, God. Like, I know that you want me here and you want me ministering to these people. And I listen to this pastor, and he always says, like, people who say they want to get into ministry, we have to minister first to your community, to your immediate circle. If you are a minister to your immediate circle in your community, then that's how the Lord may call you to ministry, or it may be that he puts you in. Yeah. Like, that's exactly what you were doing.
Yeah.
Without knowing it.
Wow, yeah. Now, if I'm counseling somebody or something, I mean, I've seen most anything that they could be going through, right? Whether it's a personal struggle or in their family, whatever kind of, I was around people who, infidelity, substance abuse of some kind, depression, anxiety, self-harm, hurting, suicide, and different. Unfortunately, I know multiple people who committed suicide, that I was friends with. I would say I was friends with in the Army. So, like, you go through the whole gamut of life, and that prepared me to help people now. Now, not everything is that serious, but that's when people are at their lowest, when something serious like that is happening. So, but even before, like, I had thoughts of being in the ministry, even like while I was in high school, but I always had a feeling that it was like, here's where you're gonna be, but not yet. I didn't really understand that part then. But now looking back, I can see God took me through a lot and gave me a lot of experiences to be where I am now.
That's awesome.
And did you find that it was ever hard for you to adjust to the real world, like after you came back from deployment or a tough job? Or
that's a very good question. Like, that affects people in different ways, and it depends on your job, what you're doing, how long you're gone for, and there's no like one set answer. But for me, I found myself being lazy when I would come home, and when I would deploy or do something that I thought was important, I'm doing something that has real world life or death consequences sometimes in the moment. And so you're always kind of on like that adrenaline high. And then you come home, and it's like, well, I got to cut the grass, or
this can wait.
Like, I got to go to the groceries. I was like, I'm just going to sit here and watch TV. Like, it took away.
There was no challenge.
You hear people, no challenge, and you hear, like, they make movies about it, right? Yeah. Guys that are snipers or whatever they're doing, and then they come home and, well, they're fighting with their wife, or they're depressed, or they're withdrawn, because it's like being on a roller coaster, and then you're sitting in the parking lot.
Then you go back to Kroger.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, we've all been to an amusement park. You're in the park and you're riding those roller coasters. Everything's fun and scary and exciting. And now you're sitting in the parking lot, eating a bologna sandwich. I mean, it's just like, that's the dynamic of it. And so people come home and some people adjust better than others. Mm-hmm. But for me, that's what I found. It's like, well, I would procrastinate or be like, whatever. Yeah. I'm not excited about this.
Yeah.
You're always excited to see your family and do it, but then it's like, all right, well, I'm glad to be home, but I sure could use something exciting. When can I leave again?
I could really jump out of a plane right now.
Yeah. And so that process is different for everybody. The more you do it, like the better and quicker you can adjust back. Mm-hmm. And it's just like military life is different than, civilian life, just because it's the same, but it's different because you're dealing with stuff that you don't have to deal with normally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure Christy preferred the procrastination over, depression or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure I had bouts of depression and stuff too, but it was never crazy, I don't think. But I mean, she may say different, but I mean, different circumstances and situations. You have a range of emotions. Mm-hmm. But
and how many times were you deployed?
Long term, only twice.
Long term as in how long?
A year.
Wow.
That's always hard too.
Yeah.
I mean, even being gone for 2 or 3 weeks is hard. But long, because you get, like, at the beginning, everybody's homesick to some degree, and you get over that, and then like you get comfortable and you get used to whatever your new routine is, and you get used to like being alone. And like if you're a married couple, you have a new routine, and they're still at home, and they still got to make the house run. They still got to do. Yeah. If you have kids, they're still and they get used to doing that on their own.
You were married you were already married for both of your.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And so like you get in 2 different routines, and then you have to come home and integrate again. And it's hard on both sides. Mm-hmm. I always tell people that like military families have it just as hard as people in the military, sometimes harder.
Yeah.
Because like for me, when I would leave, I'm going to work. I'm going to do my job. So that's my mindset. Well, now Christy, my wife, is still at home, and now she's doing her job plus my job as a dad. Yeah. So it's hard on families. Yeah. And especially if you don't have extended family or a church family or something to help you. You feel so like a spouse at home can be depressed and all that stuff too, very easily.
So when did you know it was time to get out?
Man, Abbie is bringing the good questions today.
She's good. She's good.
She's good, man.
Mine are like,
it's really good.
When did y'all have the best? What was the best prank you had? And she's over here talking about that kind of stuff.
Mine are serious. I'm doing the deep talk. They're keeping it light.
Yeah, she's bringing it.
Somebody's got to do, even each other out over here.
My mind's on pranks now. There are a lot of pranks.
We'll talk about it then. This might be a 2-parter.
What was your question? I forgot already.
Mine was just when did you know it was time to get out?
So good question.
When were you thinking about retirement?
Like I was in the Army for 24 years. I didn't join the Army to stay there for 20 years. Now it's different. So when I joined, it was, if you leave before 20 years, you just walk away. Like you don't take any retirement or anything with you.
No perks, no benefits, that kind of thing.
So it was 20 years or nothing, basically. Now it's more like a 401k kind of deal. So when you join the Army, if you were to join today and you leave after 4 years, like all that retirement savings you put in, like you take that with you and you roll that into your 401k at your new job, which is a much better system, I think. But I never went there to make it a career. I joined as a part-time job, right? 1 weekend a month.
Yeah.
And I always said, to Christy, I said, when I'm not having fun, I'm done. So my first contract was 6 years, I think. 6 years comes up, and I had like a extra 2 years kind of tacked on where I could do that, but I didn't have to. And I was like, I didn't want to sign another long-term contract at the time. So I was like, well, I'll just stay for these last 2 years. that came up. I wasn't ready to go, still having fun, still doing stuff I enjoyed. Re-enlisted again after that. And like when it hit, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like it's a God story. Cause I don't like to quit things normally. If it's something I care about, if it's something I don't care about, then I don't have an issue. But I don't want to let the team down. So I don't want somebody to not be able to depend on me. So I don't like to quit things. But like overnight almost, it was like, you're done. It's time to go. And I could only be promoted one more time. I was at the top of the food chain, so I could only be promoted one more time. And I was on conference calls with the people above me like every week and stuff. And I didn't want their job. The Army is very different when I joined versus when I got out. And so I didn't want to do what they were doing. I was like, well, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But it was very fast, and God was like, there was a lot of things that had happened, opportunities that went away and came, and all that I couldn't have planned for. But I walked straight out of the Army, straight into a ministry job.
Wow.
And it's a longer story than that, but for me to get that, like I could not have planned for all the stuff that happened and how it happened. I couldn't have planned for it. I wouldn't have been smart enough to think of all those things.
Yeah.
When that light switch was like, hey, I'm done. How much longer did you have in your contract? I mean, was it like, oh, my contract ends in a week?
No. So at that time, at the end, once you get to a certain point, they make you sign an indefinite contract. Okay. Which they just like, hey, you're here until you're not here.
So you don't want to be.
Yeah. We quit putting years on it. Because, I mean, when you get to, a 14, 15, 13-year mark, they're like, all right, like you're probably going to stay, right? You're going to make 20 years because you've been here long enough. Some people don't. I mean, some people leave after 14, 15 years. But by that time, they're like, we're just going to put you on an indefinite contract and you're here until. But so for me, it's about, probably 9 months to a year. I think you have to do, I don't know. All this stuff's outdated. I'm old now in military years. So you probably have like a minimum of 9 months from when you say, I want to retire or get out until that can happen.
Okay.
But I knew it, like I had like 15 months maybe from the time I was like, all right, I'm done until I was retired.
All right. You done with all the hard questions over there?
I can be done whenever. I can keep going all night.
Keep them coming.
Okay, well, I'll ask one more.
You don't have to limit yourself.
No.
That was a joke, I promise. You can say whatever you want. You are the guest.
My love language is quality time. So sitting around at a table having a conversation, I can do this till y'all kick me out of here. Like, this is just filling my cup.
We got a new host.
Yeah. That's just done fantastic. Kaleb, what are you talking about over there? You sound like me. What? Being quiet.
I think it's that seat.
It probably is.
I'm just sitting back, taking everything in.
Okay, I'll ask one more question because you kind of answered.
At least. Yeah.
You answered one of them, which was going to be, what's the best advice you would give a young person who's thinking about going into the military?
Play the game.
Play the game?
Play the game.
Okay.
Because if you look at it like you're playing a game, then you're going to make it through. You're like, all right, this is no fun, but I can make it through. Yeah. Football practice, basketball practice, whatever sport somebody's ever played, those practices are terrible, right? Mm-hmm. So like the early season, getting in shape practice, those are no fun. But there's a point like where you're trying to get to. So just play it, and it's not going to last forever. It's a bad day. They got to let you eat, got to let you sleep. Now it may be just a little bit of sleep or a little bit of food, but like
much higher stakes though.
Yeah. So that's something too. Like take the Army for example. Some people in the Army touch a gun or a weapon in basic training, and like once a year after that at a rifle range, they're an HR rep, or they're a cook, or they're like you can be anything in the Army that you can be anywhere else. You're a truck driver. like
barber.
Yeah,
maybe not.
Not barber.
That's the only thing you can't.
The one.
Come on,
I mean,
Ryan.
I can do that. I can just shave like Fano's head every day. I mean, we can do that.
So.
We can do
It's
that.
pretty easy.
I think
that's what they do.
Contracted out. There's no military.
I mean, we're not trying to pull a fade or anything. It's just buzz it off. Let's go.
You can be an office worker in the Army, and it's the same as being an office worker in corporate America, but you just have more stuff added on, like physical training. Go to the rifle range. You got some extra classes. You got to take, like, continuing education. Kind of would be a civilian term for it, but. Yeah, so not everybody is Rambo. And if somebody's telling you, like somebody you don't know personally is telling you, I did this and I did that, they probably did nothing. They probably did nothing. Because the people who really go and do stuff, they don't just share that openly.
Yeah.
Because if it was really hard, well, they have that emotional stress from it, right? So they're not going to just throw that out to some dude in the cereal aisle.
Yeah.
What was your question? Did we answer your question?
No, I've got one more, but since you said guns, Kaleb had one question queued up.
Oh, yeah. So, as we were talking about how Abbie could do all the deep questions and stuff. Well, when I was reading her list before we got here, I was like, man, you have some really good questions lined up. So I'll just throw one that came off the top of my head. What was the coolest gun you shot? Or, like, equipment you handled, anything like that?
So
like,
probably the coolest thing,
like a 50 cal or something.
Yeah, I mean we had some of those. We had some like grenade launcher, like it's a big giant machine gun that shoots grenades and stuff.
Nice.
But as a parachute rigger, I wasn't shooting weapons all the time. That wasn't my job.
He was jumping out of a plane and just like,
oh, no.
as he's landing.
I mean, I did have some opportunities to do different stuff like that. But the coolest story I have about a weapon is when I was deployed, was with some special forces guys, and I was holding some gold-plated weapons that they took out of one of Saddam Hussein's houses.
Oh, that is awesome.
Gold-plated.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, they had we talked about World War I. He had a World War I machine gun that he took out, and like an AK-47 that was gold-plated and different stuff.
Wow.
So I got to mess with some of that. I didn't shoot it, but I got to hold it.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome.
That's cooler than shooting it.
Yeah.
So this is another random question off of that one. So like when those guys took that stuff, you can't just you got to turn that in. Like
it was not in their personal collection.
Okay.
It was in
I knew there had to be some type of process.
it was in their office.
Okay. Gotcha.
In their
you don't have to say anymore. If they're special forces, I don't want to.
I don't know what the right.
Come knocking on your door.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was in their work area.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that was the only question I had, about Abbie has all the deep stuff. So I figured we veer off the deep questions real quick and hit you with one of those.
What's another one, Abbie?
I'll ask one more. So, highs and lows, I once heard it called pits and peaks, of military and ministry. Are they similar or vastly different?
Yeah, they're similar. I mean, because like the lows, when you're dealing with people and their problems, it's the same problems, different circumstances sometimes. But, if it's an addiction problem or infidelity problem and how they got there might be different, but it's the same issue. Mm-hmm. Peaks are a little different, maybe.
Not jumping out of planes at
Parkway. Not jumping out of different work environments, but still helping people. Though, like the peak of helping somebody, whatever that looks like that's the same, and that feeling is the same. But I mean, I'm old and fat now, so it's not like my that part of it, like the physical part of it's different. I'm in an office or at a restaurant or something the vast majority of the time now. It's not running all over the world, although I did just get back from Brazil, so that's new since the last time we recorded an episode.
That is.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, some of that stuff's different, but it's a lot of parallels, and I mean that's why I would say that's why God was taking me through some of that stuff and learning that and brought me here to have some experience and know how to deal with it. Exactly. Not that other people in the ministry can't, but, they may be learning in seminary or something like that and having some book knowledge where I was having some practical hands-on like education.
Okay. Ryan, it's all you.
Hey, listen, you're bringing up some awesome questions. Keep on bringing them. Okay, well, so let's say whether it's camp or say it's overseas, like all of it together under an umbrella. What was something that you did that was like just you couldn't do it here in the United States? Like that was just like super cool that you only could experience it or do it because you were in the military.
I don't know what camp is. He said camp. Like,
well, I was going to say boot camp. You know what I meant.
Making s'mores.
You know what I meant.
That's how you grill a marshmallow.
Yeah.
First you take the mullet.
Yeah. Sorry, that was for Brother Matt. We should have said it at that Boy Scouts or something.
What was your question?
So, like, what I wrote down was like, what was something that you were able to do that you couldn't do, like, in a normal situation in the States?
Well, I mean, getting paid to jump out of airplanes is kind of abnormal. That was always good. Just to travel. I mean, I went to more than 20 countries. Got to see all these things that you see in the movies, like going to the Eiffel Tower in Paris and doing all these other stuff. Going to England, I got to go to Normandy twice and do.
Well, when I thought that question, that was the first thing that came to my head was that story. That
was probably that was one of the top 3 trips for me. Jumping into Normandy, doing some. I mean, that was awesome. I mean, get the travel, the people. You meet a lot of people that you go through experiences that are bonding experience. They're tough in the moment, but they bond you together, and you're friends for life. And I could call some of those people right now, and they would, however far away they live, they'd leave and come here right now. So
that was another question of mine. Speaking of like knowing people, having that relationship, is there such a thing as like having reunions within the military?
Yeah, some people, like some groups do.
But the military is not doing it. It's not like a scheduled event where you're coming back to see people.
No, like somebody would organize.
Y'all
it's like a class reunion for your high school class.
Yeah.
Somebody has to organize that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just different groups like that. If you're part of one and somebody organizes that, you would go or not go or whatever.
Cool.
Some people are more attached than others, like for those groups, whatever it may be.
Yeah. And then what you were talking about earlier, was there any fun pranks or anything that kind of comes out that you remember?
I mean, I could probably remember it if we were to, sit here and talk for a long time. I'll give one that I got pranked on one time. It was overseas. We had a little prank war going back and forth. I don't remember what was happening, but I had an office, small little, like not much bigger than this table, but I had an office, and we have what's called honeycomb. It's big sheets of cardboard, and it's like 4 inches thick, 3 or 4 inches thick, and it's shaped like honeycomb. Like when you look at it, it looks like a honeycomb. But we use that for airdrop. You put a couple layers down depending on what you're dropping. And when that thing hits the ground, it crushes that honeycomb, crushes that cardboard, and that absorbs some of the energy. So whatever you're dropping doesn't break. But what they had done is taken honeycomb. First they took like saran wrap and saran wrapped everything, my desk, my computer, telephone, everything. And then they filled it with honeycomb. Like they cut honeycomb under the desk, on top of the desk, around the computer, floor to ceiling.
Oh my gosh.
Like the entire thing. And I mean, they cut it out, shapes where they built a puzzle, basically like a 3D puzzle. And it was just enough like the door would open. So when you open the door, you're just staring at like a wall of cardboard.
Oh my goodness.
They got me good on that one.
That is good.
I don't remember. I know that, like, I moved their mattress from their room. I don't remember if it was before or after that, but like their mattress was.
So this may or may not have been payback.
Retaliation.
Right. Revenge.
I could probably work through it if I really thought about it. But I think I probably moved their mattress first. So
you earned it.
Yeah. I was feeling kind of bad.
That sounds about right.
Don't feel bad for him. He did something for them to go forward to see him with honeycomb. I don't know that I started this
prank war, but like, if you want to play, we'll play, right? Attitude. But I think I moved their mattress first. So I took their mattress off and I like replaced it with honeycomb. So I had a couple layers of honeycomb on there.
And like, that's where the honeycomb
comes
exactly
from.
I put their sheets back on and put their blankets and stuff. So it looked like,
so they got
the mattress still there.
And then we were in the desert. And so every so often they have these little, it's just a little tent, not a tent, but a little shack kind of. So it's got a couple legs and like a metal roof. And then it's a water point. So they have bottled water in there. And then, that was to keep the sun off of it. Well, there's like a little support structure underneath that roof. So I took their mattress off, replaced it with honeycomb. And I took their mattress down. It was probably like 200 yards from their building to the water point. And I put it like in the roof of that little water point. And so they come home from work that day, like they get off and they come and they're like, they were telling me this later. I didn't know it. I wasn't there. Right. I left the scene of the crime, but they're like, dude, I came to my room and I went and jumped on the bed like Superman style.
No.
And it's like that cardboard is when you do
only
something
give
like
so
that,
much.
Like, it's hard. Yeah. And so they're like, I almost broke my back.
Oh my goodness.
And they're like, I laughed, and then I had to go find my mattress, and then I had to because it was like duct taped up in that ceiling.
Wow.
Did they have any idea?
It was you?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay.
Oh, because I had to like get a key to their room and all this different stuff.
Did you have help moving that mattress that far?
No, I can't say.
Okay. Can't confirm tonight. No.
But
he said no comment.
So I think that came first, and then they filled my office with honeycomb with the cardboard. I think that's how it went. Either way, mine was better. But I did like clean it out, and I was like, I got it. You had to get your mattress. I'll clean my own office. It's good.
That's funny.
That's the only example I remember in the moment of prank war
Pretty
stuff.
good one.
I'm sure there's worse stuff. I know there's worse stuff, but can't think of it right now, or I don't want to incriminate myself.
Yeah.
Probably smart.
Yeah.
Besides that, I just had two like small little trivia questions to see if y'all could answer them. If you want me to do them.
We can do that, or Abby.
Yeah.
I think I'm done with my list. Okay. Actually.
All right. We want to give you the full experience.
No, I think
cheated.
we're good.
All right. So question number 1: out of all the branches of the United States military, what do you think are the top 3 largest branches?
I mean, I get inside information. I don't know that you.
And this is based on obviously like just overall number of people that are in those branches.
Army's got to be.
I mean, there, right? I have them in. I have them in order of the top 3.
Army is the biggest.
But if you just get them, so you want to say Army's
number
1?
Army 1.
Okay.
Marines.
They're in the top 3.
Navy 2.
That's what I was thinking.
Navy is 2. That is correct. So Army is 1, Navy 2, Marines 3. But do you want to know like the actual numbers? And I don't know if these are accurate or not. But so Army has like somewhere around 464,000 people in it.
Wow.
Navy has 346,000, and Marines have 147,000.
Big difference there.
Yeah.
What's the Air Force number?
That was what I asked.
I did not pull those because I only the information I pulled only gave me the top 3.
Do you know off the top of your head?
No.
No.
I know Air Force probably has the biggest budget though.
But
they have the most expensive toys.
Because that's
why Air Force bases are so nice.
Because what is it? It's Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, and
Coast Guard.
Coast Guard. Coast Guard's probably what? Do you think the Coast Guard's the smallest as far as volume?
Probably. I don't
know. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I would
guess.
I would.
I would guess so.
Okay.
I would think there.
I kind of forget Coast Guard is a
everybody
brand.
forgets the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
All right. So then the next one, this is my last question.
I'm not saying the Coast Guard's easy, but
yeah,
it's not like it's forgotten about. Yeah.
So this is just military in general, so it doesn't have to be United States at all. What is this? What is the oldest army?
I don't know. China, maybe. Straight off the top of the head.
Oldest army.
Uh-huh.
Like what country? Like
oldest any type of military.
Oh my gosh.
British Army.
Maybe.
Somewhere in the Middle East, maybe. Like
China.
I'll let y'all think about it. Y'all let me know when you're done, and then I'll give you the answer.
China.
I don't want to throw it out too early.
I think. I
don't know.
I'd go British.
Like there's
I'm not betting
Chinese dynasties
that's
were
out
before British, but I don't know.
Yeah,
about
that's true.
China
or British.
It is the Swiss Guard.
Oh.
Because they're over 500 years old, and they guard the Vatican.
Oh wow.
Mm.
Yeah. They're the oldest and the smallest in the world. They only have 135 total.
Wow.
And you can be certain height, have a certain waist and waist size and stuff to be in that. Be in that.
Very strict on what they can pull.
There's certain language you have to speak.
Uh-huh. I saw that, but I don't have the details to that. But yeah, it was just 135 people total.
So speaking of like the different branch, who was Army's like rival, or did y'all have, or is it just?
I mean, every
branch
is a rival branch, but I mean,
because you see in these movies, like sometimes like their branches are fighting among, because
you over here pulling Battleship, aren't you?
Pretty much, yeah. Thanks for calling me out.
You have some of that. You have some of that. I mean, there's friendly rivalry between stuff, but like, I probably have, depending on your job, like you may never work with another branch.
Yeah.
Like, and then some people, like the office they go to is they have all four major branches in their office, so it just kind of depends a little bit. But a lot of it is more rivalries with it, like one company versus another company kind of thing within the Army.
Gotcha.
Or like one job versus another job within the Army kind of thing. So, I mean, that happens a lot because you're together a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, even, go Army beat Navy or go Navy beat Army kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to happen. Most of that is for old people like me after they get out. Like, they care more about that. So in the moment, like when you're in it, you're like, well, I'm doing the real stuff. I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, exactly.
When you get to like upper echelon kind of stuff, like harder jobs in the military, so like those are all competitive people, type A personality, like, so they're naturally competitive.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to compete with, people in the same room. Right?
Yeah. A lot of big egos.
Yeah.
So do you cheer for Army in football? Don't they have a football team?
Yeah.
Go Army beat Navy?
I mean, yes, but no. Like, I don't take an active.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not looking at their wins and losses every week. But yeah, I mean, if they're like, hey, Army beat Navy, I'm like, cool, that's good stuff. But it's kind of like high school. Like when you get out of high school, okay, I still want my high school to do good, but that's if they don't, like win on Friday night, all right, go get them again next time.
Yeah.
So it's just not as big a deal.
So I got a dumb question, and this is just keep people laughing or whatever. So like in Battleship, right? They legitly go at it. They have games, right? Is that like a legit thing or no? That's completely made up, isn't it?
I've probably seen that movie, but I don't remember. So what do you mean?
So like on that one, they legitimately have like naval game. That's the Navy, obviously, but it was like they have naval games where they go out and do like different exercises.
Oh yeah.
But against other countries as a game. It's not like they're not legitimately trying to kill each other or anything.
Yeah, I mean, you have training exercises. Yeah, that were. I mean, you're not going. You could go against somebody, right? Yeah. But I mean, you do that locally here. Like you'll have. A group that's training for whatever their mission is, and you'll do part of that training against air and against ghost men where you're just, but then when you get, you kind of step up to a certain level, well, now you're going against other people.
I was just making sure there wasn't like no secret Olympics or something.
No.
within the branches that we just don't know about.
If there is, I'm not part of the secret. So. But I mean, there comes a point in your training where you are going against, like in the American Army, you're going against other American Army people, because it's people think and react and do things differently than you expect them to. Yeah. So you have to adjust and react to what they're doing. But yeah, like coalition countries, one of the last big things I did was with probably 4 different countries, a big kind of like an air show kind of thing, with capability demonstrations and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, we had probably, I know at least 3 countries, probably 4 countries, and then another civilian, like a civilian government contractor, and two branches of our American military. So like that stuff happens. You've seen it in a movie, it probably happens in some form or variation. Yeah. And like Hollywood makes it, it's made for Hollywood, but something like that probably does happen.
Gotcha.
But there's games like you compete, so Fort Benning's going to have like, a softball league every summer or something like that, where you're competing against.
You laughing about that? That's legit. They're
I can only imagine.
They're way up there.
But you do have military athletes too. Like there's from all the branches that are. They're in the Army, but they're an athlete. Like they're boxing or they're playing basketball, playing baseball. They're in the Army, but they're on the basketball team. You have some of that too. So it's kind of like that part's kind of like the Olympics, and they compete against other countries, other country militaries, other country like national teams and stuff like that.
I'm just saying, having the Olympics would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Imagine like all the snipers trying to figure out who can get down and fastest and shoot a target, or you jumping out of an airplane, who can get down and get to a certain location fastest.
Yeah, they have that. I mean, they have those kind of things, but it's like, depending on what level, it's in the Army, it's called like the best warrior competition.
Okay.
So you have that all the time, and it's made up of a ton of different events: shooting, common soldier skills, PT tests, all this different stuff. And they have.
Listen, I'd buy an app to watch that.
Same.
I know. So they have best warrior competitions. They have one every year called the best ranger competition, which is just for ranger qualified people.
Okay.
And I mean, they put that on TV.
Really?
Like it'll be on like, one of the ESPN channels or something like that.
Kevin's going to go home and instantly start looking these up.
I know what I'll
be watching
it
on YouTube. Find it on YouTube. If you go Best Ranger Competition on YouTube.
Just say it loud enough on your phone will hear you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it'll pick it up. And tomorrow you'll have it on your phone.
When you get to something like that, like those dudes are, pretty elite. They're up there. So like, you're going to see some dudes and like, it's pretty rough. Some of the stuff they're doing. It's like what they call that? Not the Iron Man, but the CrossFit, like the CrossFit Games.
CrossFit Games.
Yeah, that's a warm up.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. No more questions.
No more questions.
Roll this thing up.
Thanks for letting us interview you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for your service.
Well,
Happy Veterans Day. A little bit
Absolutely.
early.
Happy Armistice Day.
Yeah.
Armistice Day.
So all you veterans out there, thank you.
Yes.
For all that you do, and
Definitely.
This is not the most comfortable thing for me, sitting here talking about myself. But I mean, I did enjoy my time there, but I don't want it to be about me. But I was happy to do it.
If it wasn't for what you did and what other people did like you, then we wouldn't be able to sit here and do this. So,
all right, we're going to finish with a Bible verse. This is from 1 Peter chapter 2, verse number 11. Beloved, I urge you as sojourners and exiles to abstain from the passions of the flesh, which wage war against your soul. So talking about fighting and war, militaries today, that one came to mind. And we are all in a fight every single day. So
yes, we are.
Abby, Kaleb, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
It was a blast.
We enjoyed you. Thank you.
We hope y'all have us back on soon.
I was going to say, this is not going to be the last time.
No,
this is not going to be the last.
I brought a whole page of questions, so if you invite me back, I may bring 2. Who knows?
Yeah. That's what we need, because preparation sometimes is lacking by us. Part of that is, we think we know what we're doing. We're like, we'll just make up the questions. I got 2 to start. The rest of them, it'll be good.
Fillers.
We might just find the topic the night before, so it's whatever.
Yeah.
Y'all are very much welcome back.
For sure.
Maybe next time we'll have Russell.
Yeah, next time we'll have to get Russell.
Get him to tell a story out there. You all know we love you. God loves you more. We'll see you again maybe next week, but we'll see you again soon.
We out.
That was good.
You did fantastic.
Daniel, you brought the heat.
Y'all did good. Thanks for listening to GPS to God. Make sure you leave a rating or review on whichever app you happen to use. Also find us on YouTube and be sure to subscribe to our channel.